So let's jump right into this thing and get into our agenda. And we're going to do a little bit of welcomes and introduction. And then the second part of it is App Innovate and what is it and why should you care? So there's many different things that Microsoft has going on, different solution assessment, funded engagements that can get you going for your cloud journey. And this is just another one of them. So we're going to go through a little bit of what it is from the Microsoft side, why should you care, and then start to talk about what Tallan does as part of the App Innovate solution assessment. Go through the basics of it, go through some of the deliverables that we have for people, and then we'll go through our process of how have we done this before and kind of let you know that these are some of the things that we do. If it looks like it's something that you guys are looking to get involved with, or looking for the beginning of your cloud journey, and this sounds like something that is interesting to you, then we can work with your Microsoft account executives and with Juliet to get some funding around it and get going for an app innovation assessment for you. And then the last part, we'll have closing for questions and answers. So as I said before, we have Juliet Helms, who is a solution assessment lead from Microsoft, and myself, Dan Flewitt. We will be presenting, we'll be the two presenters today. And with that, I am going to turn it over to you, Juliet, to start on the Azure App Innovation Assessment and what it means for Microsoft.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. So here at Microsoft, we definitely believe in empowering our customers' digital transformation. And part of that digital transformation definitely includes the application portfolio. So what we have done in order to support our customers and kind of rationalizing how to get their applications migrated, how to get them modernized, is we have come together and created our Azure Application Innovation Assessment. So what this assessment does is it really helps to first, do the design workshop, right? Architecture design, ideate, where do we want to go with this application? How do we want this to look as we migrate it? Then we put together, that design. We put together a plan of how to get from point A to point B. We also make sure that we do this with the best practices in mind. So we do a gap analysis. This is really our foundational setup of governance. So think security, think monitoring, and making sure that as we are migrating an application into Azure, that we're doing it with all of the right wrappers around it and making sure that we're doing that securely. So will help to create that plan, help to create that architecture, help to create the security and foundation around it. Pricing it out, helping you understand what is that going to look like from a cost perspective, and really enable you guys to make that next step with confidence going forward. So the way that we execute these assessments are through our Azure expert partners, and Tallan is one of them, one of the great ones that we work with. And to tell you how they particularly execute this, Dan's going to tell you a little bit more about what they do.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So next, we're going to talk about the Tallan's application innovation approach. And this is a slide that we use for just about any type of project that we're embarking on. Our approach to projects are very much the same, whether it's an application innovation project where you're trying to re-platform something into a PaaS service, whether you're doing an Office 365 migration, whether you're doing any sort of project at all, is we take the same approach on these. And we always start out with a vision and a roadmap. And as Juliet was just talking, this part, we're going to go through and kind of see what you have. And what we talk about these a lot is we'll talk about an as is, a to be, and a plan to get there. And so that's our approach on all of these, is we're going to talk about vision and roadmap. And then from there, we're kind of understanding what you have today. And then from there, we're going to go into a proof of concept and build out a solid foundation in your cloud platform, in the Azure platform. And that way, what we're trying to do is make sure that we understand what you have from the vision and roadmap. We can create a proof of concept and a foundation, and then it gives you the warm, fuzzy feeling that you understand where we're taking it to the cloud and everybody's on the same page. And once we have that solid foundation laid down, we will start to do a minimum viable product of get something out there, get something working, and let people touch it, feel it, see how it works, and then get our customers into the cloud, and then they can start to see, oh, this is how we did it on-prem, here's how you do it in the cloud. And as we start to do those things, then we'll innovate on it and do more and more in an iterative fashion. So we'll build a little bit more, make sure it works, everything's good. And then at the end, the last part that we'll always want to make sure is that what we're building for you and what we're building together is operationalized, that at the end of it, that it has all the checks and balances in it. If you're using DevOps, all of your DevOps pipelines are doing your deployments right. All of the governance and enablement is put in place and laid down as a solid foundation. So going forward, you can take this as your kind of golden copy and start to move more and more applications to the cloud. So when we do these things, most of the time they're done in about 4 phases. So the first phase is usually 1 to 2 weeks of planning. We'll go through a lot of initial discovery meetings with you, make sure that we're getting the business objectives met. And as I said, create an as-is architecture. That shows, 1 to 5, usually 1 to 5 candidates of an on-premises application that we're looking to move. And then, do some analysis on those applications. There's some tools that we run on the applications to make sure that they're cloud ready. Then from there, once we kind of understand what we're going to do, then we start to work out the architectural design requirements of making sure that we're going to be able to build out your 2B architecture and make sure that what you had on-prem is going to work in the cloud, and build out your roadmap to bring that piece of application or infrastructure out to the cloud. And we will go through now and start to set up your Azure subscription, your Azure governance, and start to build out that solid foundation. And this here is another 1 to 2 week phase. And then when that is complete, we will start to go into the phase 3 of the modernizing the plan and reviewing it, starting to build out the application, get it deployed out to the cloud, let you sit there and start to touch and feel it, see what's going on. And this one is another 1 to 2 week phase. So a lot of these assessments are anywhere from 3 to 6 weeks. A short one would be 3, a long one might be 6 to 9 weeks. But it's meant to get something up and running quickly and get people comfortable with doing something in the cloud, and then from there build on top of it. And then the fourth part of the phase is turning it over to our customers, and then starting to build on top of that even more. A lot of times people will get something put out there and it won't be necessarily full on production ready. A lot of times we'll do a lot of follow-on work that says, hey, this was covered in the initial assessment, and then we can go through, productionize the application, and really get it ready for users to start to hit and start to use day to day, just like your other applications. So, now that we talked a little bit about how we do it, we talk about the deliverables that we have. And the 2 pieces of the deliverables are really around the vision of what we're going to do and the roadmap of how to get there. And the vision of what we have is usually a very basic executive summary. We start with the as-is architecture, as Juliet was talking, a little bit of a gap analysis of what's gonna work in the cloud, what we might need to remediate to work in the cloud. And then the biggest thing that we do here is your Azure consumption estimates of moving to the cloud. A lot of times people say, hey, we need to move to the cloud. How much is it going to cost us? We'll put together a very detailed estimate of what it will look like and what we think that it's going to cost you to move to the cloud. The second piece of it is the roadmap, the to-be architecture. And as we said before, this is going to give everybody the warm, fuzzy feeling that, hey, we have A, B, and C on-prem. Here's what it's going to look like in the cloud. Then we will go through a kind of licensing and contracting and payment things of the best ways for you to buy Azure, and for if there's people that have enterprise agreements, that's a perfectly good vehicle. If there's people that have a cloud solution provider like Tallan, that's a great vehicle. There's some people that have pay-as-you-go accounts, and those might not be the best vehicle for you to buy it, but we'll go through some of the options there and make sure that you're getting the best dollar value for what you're doing. And then, the roadmap will have the initial migration modernization plan, and then proposed additional pieces that we could do in a next phase and a phase after that. And a lot of times when we talk about these application innovation assessments, there's three types of customers that we usually have. There's ones that we will do the as is, the to be, and the plan to get there. And they say, great, that's fantastic. We have it from here. Then we have the next set of customers that we do the as is, to be, the plan to get there. And they say, all right, this plan to get there, we know how to do 1, 2, 3, and 4, but we need help with 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And that's a lot of times where we work with you guys to say, all right, here, you do that part, we'll do these parts, and at the end, we're going to come out with a full product. And then the last type of customer that says, hey, this plan looks great. Can you implement this for us? So Tallan can work in any three of those facets, and that's usually what we're looking for when we come out of these application assessments of, here's our plan to get there. Let's talk about next steps of what we need to do to get there. So as I was talking before, one of the things when people say, hey, what do we actually get out of these assessments and how much is it going to cost? Here's a sample cost estimate of pieces that we put together. It will go through different pricing options, different compute resources that you have, different Azure resources, and you'll come up with a monthly spend of what we anticipate your monthly spend, and extrapolate that out with different kinds of options depending on whether you have software assurance or all different licensing options, so that you can keep the cost down and make this thing a success for your organization. The next piece of it is I talked about some of the tools that will run against your applications that you're looking to modernize. There's a tool that we use called CloudPilot, and it will talk about the portfolio of applications that you have and their readiness to move to Azure, to the cloud platform. We'll go through and run these tools on your applications, and usually what it'll tell you is that this application might need X hours of remediation, and this application might only need 10 hours of remediation. Some other one might need a whole lot. So from there, with this analysis, we can best figure out which is the best application to move. And usually when we're talking about applications to move, we want to take one that is well used, but probably not the linchpin of your business needs. That is, if it didn't go well, that everybody's going to come to a screeching halt. That's probably not the best one to do for a pilot. But then if there's another one that's used by 2 or 3 business units, and this one looks like a good application that we can get some users on it, get them using it, get them the application developers developing on it. That's a lot of what the analysis of the portfolio is going to show, is what is the thing that makes best sense for us to be successful and for your business to be successful. So now I will talk about one of the customers that we work with that is in the Carolinas, and it's a company called Midrex, and they do I guess industrial refinement of heavy metals. And one of the things that we did with them is they said, hey, we want to modernize and start to govern our cloud infrastructure, because right now we have stuff out there. We're not quite sure if it's right, wrong, or indifferent, but it's running, and we really want to build on it more. And we want to start to modernize a bunch of the applications that we have that are all running on virtual machines. We want to see what this platform as a service is all about and see if we could take advantage of it. So with Midrex, we did an application portfolio analysis, kind of went through, got a lay of the land of what they had, and then we put together a plan with them to say, hey, here's the dozen things that you have. It looks like this is really critical to your business. That's probably not the best application to move. And we started to go through and kind of poke holes in moving different types of applications. And we were able to come up with the two that we wanted to move and, put a plan together to move those. And now we've been going with Midrex probably for about 2 years now, and they're well on their journey of pulling some of their applications, and now they're going into a full-on data reporting solution in the cloud. So their application assessment, they got that to-be architecture. They said, you know what, this makes sense to us. We were able to go and remediate some things that were in their initial Azure environment that they weren't quite sure if they were right, wrong, or indifferent. And then they had the confidence that, hey, we're solid, we're ready to go. Let's build on top of it more. So the next client story that I'll talk about is a company up in the Michigan area called Amerisure. And they have a lot of internal applications that they use it's an insurance company. So they said, hey, we have a lot of these homegrown custom applications that all run on virtual machines. We're starting to move to the cloud. And I really think that we could take advantage of the platform as a service based application stuff that's inside of Azure. So we were able to go through and do a portfolio analysis on Amerisure. And one of the things that we'll go through, it'll go through and kind of go through your source code and run some tools on your source code, run some cool tools on your databases and see how ready they are for the cloud. And we were able to do this with Amerisure and be able to map out that, hey, these applications, they look like they're ready to go without much remediation at all. These databases look like they're ready to go. Some other ones, we were looking at, we said, these probably might not ever go because there was such a gap analysis between what they had and what they needed to run on PaaS services. And a lot of times we see this when they have third-party applications that may be connecting to a database, or that the database has to do certain things in order to make the application work that may or may not work in the cloud. So one of the things that we realized with Amerisure up front is they had a lot of questions about, should we do this one? Should we do this one? And they were almost in a little bit of analysis paralysis of not knowing which ones to move. When we were able to run these tools and look at the gaps that were there, it kind of took a lot of that out of play because they said, oh, these ones, that one's so far off. All right, let's just forget about that one and let's focus on the ones that we really think that we can move. So the assessments that we do, a lot of times we see that our customers, they want to do things, but they're just not sure where to start, or they kind of need help in getting that thing going. So one of these things that these assessments do, in 3 to 6 weeks, we can put together a good plan to have an application or a couple applications move. And it gives everybody confidence from the customer side that, hey, there's a good plan. We did a little bit of analysis, got these things ready to go, and now we're ready to start our cloud journey. So a lot of people will say, all right, we do want to get our cloud journey going, and how do we get started? So the easiest way right now is you can take down my email address. We can schedule a conversation to talk about an application innovation opportunity. The other things is a lot of people on here. I know that the people that were invited were invited from some of their Microsoft representatives. Reach out to them. You can reach out to Juliet and her team, and we can get you into the right people to be able to start your cloud journey or start your application innovation journey. And as we said before, a lot of these application assessments are funded by Microsoft. And what we see best of a lot of the ones that we do is that when we come and do these, we have the grand plan of here's what we want to do. And a lot of times when we do these, it's kind of three-pronged approach that Microsoft will put in some money, the customers put in some money, and Tallan puts in some money to kind of solid that relationship and get things going from there. So feel free after we hang up here, I'm going to open it up for Q&A in a minute, is if you have any questions about the application innovation assessment or how we do things or what are our next steps, feel free to jump off of mute or put them into the chat window of what are our next steps here, or what can we do. But as we said, to kind of wrap this up, we're going to go through an architectural design, get a migration plan ready for you, do a gap analysis to make sure that we're focusing on the right pieces. And as Juliet said before, of working with Tallan, the certified partner expertise, is we've done a lot of these before. So we know the kind of pitfalls that we've seen in the past and the ones that people face. So we're able to get these things kickstarted, moving along pretty quickly, because we don't want to make the same mistakes we've made before. And you're going to have the dedicated support from your Microsoft team throughout the engagement. Tallan has had a partnership with Microsoft now, I think going on 16 years. So we're very much in lockstep with Microsoft and how all these programs work. And one of the things that we say at Tallan is, almost all of the work that we do, pretty much all the work we do, is all on the Microsoft platform. So we're that go-to partner for Microsoft, and we're really looking forward to these application innovation assessments and continuing our partnership with Microsoft. So here I'll stop for a minute and open it up for any questions that anybody has. Gina, are they able to come off mute by themselves, or do we need to take them off of mute?
They are able to.
Okay, so if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them into the chat or come off of mute and ask them yourself. I don't see any questions here. I'll wait one more minute. And Juliet, do you have anything to say in closing here? Or can we wrap it up?
No, happy to wrap. Yeah, if you guys have questions as you kind of think about what you might do internally and they come up, there are a lot of good email addresses in there to reach out to, a lot of good people on this call to reach out to. Happy to support, happy to help. Your Microsoft reps are always available. Generally, there's an army of resources to reach out to, but we're very excited about sponsoring and supporting our customers and kind of that process of getting their applications into the cloud, because we know it is a process, we know it's a journey, and we're here to help.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. And with that, we'll wrap it up here. And as I said before, the Tallan business development folks will probably be reaching out to you. So be expecting that. And if you have any questions, they're going to be a great source to help you out. And as I said before, if you would like to talk with any of your Microsoft reps, feel free to do that. But I will close it out here and say thank you, everybody, for attending, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.